Okay, so today we are going to talk about productivity because it is super, super important for your business success. It's really a major key to that business success. So I um, kind of developed these four productivity hacks. They're more or less steps that you take to increase your productivity. And really, they are, in a nutshell, direction, elimination, optimizing, and executing. And if we can go through each of those, I'm going to point out some of the highlights of them. So, in the first one, which is direction, um, this is pretty much where people get to when they look at um, the thought or have the thought of, hey, I really need to change something. I think I need to be more productive. And they start looking at taking a direction. And most of the time, what that consists of for them is to create a to-do list, and then they start working on it. And a week or two, sometimes even a month goes by, and they forget about it. It isn't something that um, really has set a solid foundation for them because they haven't looked at the bigger picture. And looking at the bigger picture before you even create your to-do list is knowing what your goals are, what you want your ultimate goal or goals to be, and then the steps that lead up to it really is what makes up your to-do list. You combine the goals that you have with your high leveraging activities you need to do, and then you figure out what you need to do on a daily basis from there, and that's what makes up the to-do list. So once you have that formed, that really gives you better direction on where to go. So you want to start, like I said, with the goal setting, knowing what your list of goals is. Hopefully, you have those listed out. I know a lot of times we say we have goals, but they're not actually written somewhere. So having a list of what those goals are is going to help you form whatever the steps are that you need in order to reach those goals. So that's super, super important. And then, of course, you have to figure out from there what the steps are, what the high leveraging activities are going to be, meaning what are the steps involved that are going to get you from point A to point B. Sometimes it's not as easy as, hey, it's one step and I'm there. Sometimes even the steps have subcategories of steps in them. So you have to figure out what those activities are going to be and then go from there. It's easy enough to say, hey, I'm going to write a blog and I'm going to post it out on Thursday. So you block off time for you to write the blog on, like an hour's worth of time on a Tuesday. But when you get down to seeing that on your to-do list, sometimes you're not sure what the subject is going to be about. You haven't researched the subject. Is it falling in line with those goals? Those are all things that you have to think about before you actually sit down to do the actual activity. And then from there, you pretty much have to know what your entire day is going to look like. In when I say that, I mean, how many hours are you going to actually work? You may have a to-do list that's so long that, I mean, you could sit there literally for 24 hours in a day for 3 weeks straight and not even be able to get it. So you have to know how many hours you're willing to put into it. And then from there, you can figure out, what your workspace is going to be like. Are you going to have those distractions? Are you going to have interruptions? Are you going to be able to give yourself enough time so you can get other things done in your life as well? You can't just work the 20 hours and then forget about going grocery shopping and making the meals and taking your kids to dance class, and all those kinds of things. So that comes into play as well. And then, of course, we're on to step 2, which is eliminating. And this is a really, really big one. It's eliminating your negative habits. But first, you have to pinpoint what those negative habits are. And oftentimes, that takes a little practice. Sure, you can sit down and make a list, and you can probably come up with a few things that you know are habits that you would like to get rid of, but you're zeroing in on the habits that are negatively keeping you from increasing the productivity so that you are able to reach that ultimate goal. When I talk about this, I'm thinking about a huge one, which is the internet. I mean, there's so much time spent on social media, and a lot of times it's really hard to not do that. And part of getting over that bad habit of, well, I'm just going to jump on for 30 minutes, and then before you know it, 2-3 hours have gone past, and now you are 3 hours behind on something else that you really needed to get done in that time slot. So you kind of have to really take a hard look at what's holding you back from progressing. And then I like to call it the procrastination factor. When you are looking at your day and you want to get something done, everyone can come up with 1, 2, multiple reasons why they can't do that. But if you set that step in motion and you make it a habit of not procrastinating, not putting it off, not saying, okay, here's my list of why it can't happen, change that totally around and come out with, this is exactly why it's going to happen today. I've given myself a 3-hour time slot, and within that 3 hours, I am going to finish 1/2 of the project that I started a month ago. And that's a really tough step for a lot of people. I have to confess, it's a big part of what holds me back on a lot of things as well. I have a lot of things that I notice that I say why I can't get something done. And really, I need to watch myself on that step as well, because once you fall down into that rabbit hole, it's hard to dig yourself out of it. It's much, much easier to set up bad habits than it is good habits. And by forming a routine and doing it constantly over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. And then that habit is just going to be part of what you call your daily routine. And it sounds, hey, she's saying it, that sounds pretty easy. It isn't easy. And that's where having that extra support, that extra guidance, that person you can lean on, whether it's a coach or an accountability partner or a super great friend who's going to be really honest with you and let you know, don't go after the temptation. stay the course, and you're going to be able to make it. That is a really tough piece of this. Let me see. The third one is optimizing. And basically, when I say optimizing, it is making, how am I going to put this into words? Let's see, optimizing. You want to optimize your systems, your policies, your procedures, your everyday things that you do over and over again. Whatever your repetitive activities are, you need to find a way to optimize those so that you can continue to get the most bang for your buck out of them. You don't want to spend a lot of time, say, on making graphics if you're not an expert at graphics. You can easily hand that off to an assistant, and they can probably get it done in 10 minutes, whereas you may painfully be taking an hour and a half to make the graphics that you need. So you what you want to do is make a list of every single activity that you have to get done every day. And then from there, I actually have a handout on this. So I will get that to you. I'm trying to think of the best way. If you want that handout, send me an email at Pamela@brickwallcoach.com, and I will send you the handout that I have. And basically the handout is showing you how to make a list of your repetitive activities, and then there's columns of, are these actual activities that I need to do every day? And if they are, is it something I have to do, or is it something that I can actually hand off to someone else? And you kind of go down the list. It starts with your daily activities, your weekly, your monthly, your quarterly, and then of course your annual. And you figure out, hey, if this is something I can outsource and it saves you so much valuable time and effort, in the long run, it saves you money too, because your time is so valuable. Once you have that list going, you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself to say no to activities that are not supporting your goals. If it's not supporting your ultimate goals of what you want out of life, then you want to practice saying no. And I know that's really hard sometimes to refuse somebody's request, whether it's business or personal, to say, no, I do not have time for that. Thank you so much for asking me, though, but it just isn't going to fit in to my schedule at this time. There are very nice ways to say no, but practicing saying no is really going to help you with all of these efforts, especially when you are trying to optimize your time. And then it brings us to step 4, which is executing. And this is the category really where everything just comes nicely together. You've pretty much defined your goals. You've removed the obstacles. You've formed habits. You're doing all these things to optimize it all, and now you want to bring that entire package together and tie it up with a pretty ribbon, and that's the execution. And it all stems from knowing what your routine is. And that's why it's really important when I speak about your morning makeover or setting up a morning routine. It's really a morning routine. It's an evening routine. It's your daily routine that you want to look at and make sure every day you're in the direction of moving forward and not going back, or in the direction of moving forward and not stuck on one of the steps that's come your way. And having a really effective routine is an incredible thing. And it's really, really going to kickstart your day. I know I've spoken about this before, but when I get up in the morning and I do my meditation and I do my exercise and I eat my breakfast, I take my shower, I say my daily affirmations, I sit down and I look over my day on paper, 10 or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and figure out, okay, this is what I need to do today. It really sinks in. So by the time that I'm sitting there at my desk with my computer in front of me, I'm ready to take off right then. I'm not trying to still ground myself. I'm not still wondering what exactly is on my plate for the day and what the steps are that I need to follow. I have a routine and I stick with it, and this is the reason why. You want to make sure that it's not, when I speak about morning routines, it's not just for your business. It's for you as a person. You want to make sure that you are taking care of your emotional needs and your mental needs and your health needs and your spiritual needs and every other thing that comes into play. That's a super, super important piece of being able to leverage what your day is all about. A huge piece for me that I just realized earlier today, as a matter of fact, is, my schedule consists of blocks of time. I do time blocking, and I've got my time blocking on there for personal time. I've got my time blocking on there for when I sleep and when I am going to meditate and when I meet with clients and when I do, group meetings and when I am getting ready to record videos or write blogs or research material. I've got that all on there. I do not have on there drinking water and healthy meals. And that's a huge piece of where I see that I fall sometimes. If I don't have my water handy, which I have actually right at the moment, if I don't have that front and center, I'll forget to drink. And even sometimes when I have it front and center, if it's not literally in my eyesight of, okay, my computer screen's in front of me, but my water isn't, it's off to the side, I get busy doing things and I forget to take that drink of water. In the same way with meal prep. I'm a little bit better on the snack prep because I do that ahead of time, but the meal prep, so I get lazy and I'll wait until, 30 minutes before I want to eat. I know that I'm hungry and I really should stop and start making dinner, and I don't often do that. So then I find myself eating something that I probably shouldn't. So that's something that I have to get better on. But looking at all of those pieces, that's what goes into making your daily routine, making you the person you are so that you can show up 100%, yes, for your clients, but 100% for you, for your family, for your friends. You want to be at your best for every single thing that is thrown your way throughout a day. One of the biggest reasons that I say no to electronics for the first 2 hours in the morning is because it's too much of a temptation for me. If I turn my computer on, I'll be checking my email, I'll hop on Facebook, I'll go in and check LinkedIn. No, no, I can't afford to do that. I have a timeline, I have a schedule, I know what I need to get done, and it's just falling down into that rabbit hole, and making my way back up to the top is just too difficult. So I take the temptation out of the way by simply saying no electronics for the first 2 hours. It's not happening. And I'm pretty good about sticking to that. So those are the 4 steps to really focusing in on your productivity and increasing it the best way that you possibly can. And I'm just trying to think if there was something else I wanted to add in here at the end. I think I've talked about the delegation and the automation before, but those are really 2 big keys to having a successful business. Learning what you can automate to save yourself time, learning what you can delegate and get off of your plate so you have more time to work on the things that you started your business for. You didn't start your business so you could sit there and make graphics or do email campaigns. There just isn't enough time in the day for you to get everything done. You can do those things, but then you're not going to have enough time left over to work on the new product or to work on the new service that you want to offer. Maybe it's a really tough thing sometimes to give up, relinquish that, oh my gosh, I have to do that myself or it's not going to be done the way that I want it to be, which is the perfectionism in all of us. And ditching that perfectionism is a huge piece to increasing productivity, because when you are trying to perfect something, and I go back to the workshop that I took earlier this year, that you don't have to introduce a new product and have it perfect in every way. You just need to introduce the new product, and you can go back and tweak the perfection as you go along. We all tend to not want to roll out our new thing until it's 100% done, but sometimes we can't afford not to do that. Just not even monetarily, but for the steps along the way. I know that I wanted to get my e-course done back in April, and that didn't happen. And my new goal is to come out with my e-course in September. And I'm coming out with my e-course in September because it's pretty much done. And even if it's not totally done when September hits, enough of it is done that that's going to give me the kick in the pants that I need to get the rest of it done, because, hey, it's September. And that's the way that I started to look at things. So that I think was the other thing that I just wanted to add, is that we tend to lose a lot of time because we just want whatever our thing is to be just perfect. And we have to ditch that perfectionism. So I hope that these 4 steps are helpful to you. And if you need any help with implementing any of them, just go ahead and reach out to me. And that is it for now. I will talk to you later.